Today I want to talk about the theme of your book and the message that you're sending your audience with the book that you're writing. Hi, I'm Hananya Leclerc. I am a multi-genre writer who shares tips and tricks and talks about her life. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. So a theme, what even is a theme, and what does that mean for the message of your book? So a theme is usually something that kind of overarches your story, and it doesn't have to be one singular thing, it can be multiple things, and I'll dive into some of the most common themes and what might relate to your story, and then also what relates to my vampire book that I am writing with this series. Something that I found on the website of Grammarly, which I'll be sure to leave a link down below in the description, they say a story's theme isn't the same as its plot, it's bigger than that. Think of the story's plot as its body and its theme as its soul. And I think that is kind of a good explanation of what the theme is. The theme is kind of what really brings it to life and what makes your readers care about your story, and that's kind of what the theme states. If you look back to the beat sheet, we also have theme stated, where we kind of have a message or something that is going to be overarching your story and kind of having a specific thing in your story kind of centered. And a theme can kind of be that as well. So with this, a theme is more so, for example, love or friendship, family, good versus evil. You have all kinds of themes that kind of come under this list of what a theme is, and there is a huge list that I'm also going to leave linked down below that I found, which is 101 literary themes and also some examples of stories that include these themes. So it starts with a list kind of as a picture, and then it goes into each one of them separately and also kind of says some of the stories that they think belong to these themes. And you will find that some of these stories come back a couple of times for different themes, and that's because it doesn't necessarily always have to be one theme that your story is about or that your story covers. It can be multiple themes kind of linked together. So some of the themes that it starts off with is love, and some of the examples that it lists are Romeo and Juliet, The Fault in Our Stars, and The Notebook, which are more or less, you know, like romance books. So you kind of know that this is about the love for these people, that the love that they share for each other, and kind of almost like a love conquers all kind of feeling, where the two main characters like fight through whatever is happening in their lives and find a way to still love each other. And then the second one reads War, and this is more so War and Peace, From Who the Bell Tolls, and The Red Badge of Courage. If you want to learn more about a specific story that is listed, it gives you one of them that it goes deeper into the theme of that specific story. Then you have Revenge, which for the examples it gives Moby Dick, Wuthering Heights, and Frankenstein. And you have Betrayal, Good versus Evil. They have as example the Harry Potter series, amongst others, but the Harry Potter series also comes back later on if we look at the theme of friendship. It also lists the Harry Potter series, but also Lord of the Rings and The Fault in Our Stars again. So this is what I mean with repeating kind of certain themes in certain stories. So it doesn't always have to be one specific theme for the story. It can have multiple themes. So I will make sure to leave this list down below because I think it's a very extensive list that can kind of give you an example of what this is about and kind of what it might center around for your story. Then I can give you kind of an example of what I think is going to happen for my vampire book. So my vampire book is about love. So it's about Lizzie and Jackson loving each other and wanting to be together, but it's also about betrayal, because if you have followed this series along and you followed the beat sheet that I have, you might have heard me talk about that the maker slash father of Jackson is going to kind of more or less betray them, because he is going to take away Lizzie's memories and send her away, and that is a betrayal to Jackson, a betrayal to their love together, and kind of like betrayal in that sense. And then we also have a sense of family, because Jackson is part of the vampire family, and that comes back as well. And then we also have kind of a sort of good versus evil. I'm not sure if I fully support that theme, but it does kind of list that a little bit in the sense that Jackson's family versus the uncle's family that is maybe not so nice to humanity and not so nice to his brides, versus Jackson's family that's trying to live more like a human and just think about what humans are going through and not, you know, mess up their lives and stuff. So those are kind of the good versus evil as well. So those are the themes that I'm thinking of implementing to the story. Those are kind of the themes that kind of pop to mind when I think about my vampire story. Then if I give an example of the story that I've already published, which is in the STYGIAN collection, it's called I, Dan Monroe, Am Dead. The theme for this story is more or less good versus evil, and kind of in a broad sense, because this kind of covers actions kind of define you and do actions define you. That is kind of more or less the question that it asks. And also, does that count for good deeds or bad deeds only? And does a bad deed necessarily make you a bad person if that is the first time you commit it, or does it not? Is it self-defense? Kind of like that. It kind of goes into different things with that theme, and I think it's an interesting one. And the way that I also see kind of a theme and a message, they kind of go hand in hand in my head, because the message that you leave in your book and the message that you're kind of telling with the story is, in my head, a little bit what leaves the reader thinking. So whenever they finished your book or finished your story, I like to make my readers think, and I like to kind of have them take away something from the book or walk away from the book and kind of start thinking about maybe the message that was in the book. So with my story, I, Dan Monroe, Am Dead, I hope that it kind of brings on the question of, yeah, what actually does define you? Like, how many times you have to do a certain thing to be defined as that? And does that define you as a person? Or is it other things that define you, who you are? Or do the actions speak like a lot louder than anything else? So that's kind of what I hope to send you guys off with for that story. And also kind of the question of, who even is Dan, you know? So I like to sometimes have my readers guessing. So if you've read the story, please let me know in the comments so that I know, and let me know what you think about it. If you haven't read it, check the description down below to find out where you can buy it so that you can get your own copy from this book. If you want it signed by me, I do offer worldwide shipping on my website, so you can get the book there. I'll make sure to include an autograph and a message if you have a specific thing that you want me to write or a person that you want me to make it out to. I'll make sure to do that and then ship it off to you. So get one of these if you want to read that story. So if we kind of leave off with that message of your story, if you think about your themes and the message that you might convey with that, some of the things that I, for example, am thinking about with the vampire book is more or less maybe like, what would you kind of sacrifice for love? Kind of like that, because I am still doubting if I want Lizzie to become a vampire or not. So then the question kind of becomes, what would you sacrifice for love? Like, would you sacrifice your humanity to be with the person you love as a vampire? So that is kind of what I'm thinking about. I still haven't fully decided how I'm gonna wrap up the story and what the ending is gonna be, but that is one of the things that I have thought about, and that might be one of the messages that I'm sending out with this book once I've written it. The message also doesn't always have to be determined by the author. Sometimes we write the book and we think, oh, it's about this, and this is the message is gonna kind of send into the world. And then a reader might read it in a completely different way, different interpretation, and find a different meaning and a different theme and a different message in there that you might not have thought about, which is not a bad thing. It means that your readers are actually thinking about your book and are looking deeper than maybe what we thought we were writing. So I always like to hear other people's perspectives on stories, because that is kind of the most interesting way that you can get different opinions, especially because as an author you write it in a specific way maybe, and to have that perceived completely different but still, you know, kind of hits something with that reader is incredible. I had someone read my story, I, Dan Monroe, Am Dead, and in that story it kind of talks about the neighbor, and she messaged me and she said, in my head the cats got away. If you haven't read the story, it's not gonna make sense, but that is kind of a fun way to look at what your kind of story leaves readers thinking about. So I really enjoy that that was what she was left with. She was like, oh, in my head, that is gonna be fine. And other people think about it differently. Other people were like, okay, but who is this person? And stuff like that. So I enjoy kind of having specific things in there, but also letting your readers discover something that you might not have even thought of when you were writing the book is incredible. It's an incredible feeling to kind of have someone say, hey, I really enjoyed this part and this made me think about this and this and this. And you're like, wow, I never even thought about it that way, but that's really cool that it made you think that. So I enjoy kind of having the reader's experience as well. So if you have read, you know, stuff from people and you have a specific thing that stood out, tell them, because it makes us feel really good that you have picked up on something that we might not have even noticed when we were writing it, that it would strike that with a reader. So always make sure to leave reviews for books because we really appreciate it as authors. Anyway, that is kind of me going on a tangent about books and the message it might prevail for different readers. So if you have enjoyed this video, then I hope you stick around and you might leave a like and subscribe down below. But with that, I am going to leave you off, and hopefully it helped a little bit to hear me talk about what I'm thinking about for my story and kind of outline what I did for I Dead Monroe I'm Dead, and hopefully you will be able to figure out your own theme and message, but if not, then your readers will probably pick up on things that you have not thought about. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, but hopefully this helps a little bit, and make sure to check the description down below for more links and information on themes so that you might get inspired if you are unsure what your book is about. And that's it. So I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next one.